of the Faleskini psychological theory. He's here to share insights on how to resolve a midlife crisis. Please welcome Peter Faleskini. Thanks for coming back.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Well, I was following you on LinkedIn and I had seen some really fascinating images that you had shared on your LinkedIn page. And I thought I kind of recognized what it was, and I thought I'd better reach out because when I saw what you were doing measuring energy centers, I thought this is a conversation that I want to have. So welcome back to the podcast for the second time.
Nice to be back. And I hope I can disclose something or share something that's new to you or new to the audience.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, a lot of people get into their 40s and they've probably worked hard for 15 or 20 years and they start to explore their inner world. They're looking for more meaning. They're looking for more purpose in life. And for those people who find it, the second part of their life seems to be better than the first half. You know, no more of this over the hill type stuff. They're still on that growth curve. But people who get there and still haven't figured it out by 40 or 50 or 60, they start to lose hope and they think maybe my time is done. Maybe there's nothing left. Maybe I should settle for less. But that's not a good way to have the second half of your life, and it might lead to a midlife crisis.
Yeah, that is actually the most common way to start a midlife crisis is recognizing that what we were doing until now, it's not something that makes us either happy, healthy, or rich or wealthy. So um, what I would say, it's never too late. You can start either you're like 28 and you're already questioning your existence, or you're looking for your why, or as Indians would say, you're looking for your Dharma. Why are you here? Or you can do it in 65 after you retire and you need a new meaning, because um, until until retirement, everything was about making money and taking care of the kids and all this stuff. And now the kids are grown and there's a new reality you have to cope with. And what should I do now?
Mm.
And I call it a matrix of midlife, because it's basically a system or endless ways that are presented to us how we should live. And that goes in our conscious mind, and it also settles or gets hidden in our subconscious mind. And the idea is that this is not something bad, and I don't want or I don't like the debate that goes in two directions. This is good, this is bad, because we don't know what is good and what is bad. And I do believe that we learn on mistakes a lot. And I don't think that mistakes or most mistakes are bad. Yes, there are mistakes that are bad, let's say terminal, that you cannot uh, get back on a horse and live a normal life after that. But most of our mistakes, and I would say 99.9% of our mistakes, is something that we can mend. Our health, we know every 6 years we have a completely new body. Our relationships, if we start working on our relationships now, in 5 years everything will change. We'll have new friends. We can have old friends still there. We'll have new colleagues. We'll have new groups or new hobbies. Everything is possible in 5 years cycle. The biggest challenge that we now have as a society is that we want to resolve things that took like 25, even 40 years to complicate or to get where we are now. We want to resolve them today uh, with a pill if it's possible. So that is why um, more and more people are attending ayahuasca and different ceremonies, and they believe that the life will change after that. yes, there is a change of life after death, but is it for the better?
Mm.
And are we prepared to cope with the change that was, let's call it, dealt to us at that kind of retreats or environments? And I'm more old school kind of guy, and I believe in classical psychoanalysis like Freud, Jung, Lacan, and they believe that we have to somehow process what we did not process in the past, all our emotions, fears, grudges, and after we do that, we will be a new person. And we should do that in the environment where we live, because our development should be in accordance with the environment where we live. We should not, because a lot of new age stuff is all about you have to become as a monk and stuff like that. But if you go, if you if you take your kids to school every day, you cannot act like a monk, and you cannot go on a mountain and meditate for a fortnight just because it's the right moon this time of the year. So we have to understand our reality. And yes, our reality will change with our perception, but we should not be oblivious to that, because our reality is something that shapes us. And this is good because we were born, or we came to this reality, and it has a meaning for us. So it's a support if we see it that way, or it can be our punishment. And when we start thinking of our environment as our punishment, then we are in midlife crisis. That's a good telltale sign that something is wrong with politicians, something is wrong with the economy, something is wrong with my friends. All the people are bad and stuff like that. That's a good telltale sign that we are deep in midlife crisis and we should do something about it. What I believe triggered you is how I go about it. It's not just theory. Yes, I have developed the theory of Faleskini complex, where the midlife crisis is something that we can resolve by um, letting go of the grudges, by grounding ourselves, by experiencing profound gratitude, by taking care of our body, by consciously understand the difference between our conscious and subconscious mind, by um, by getting to know our goals, which goals are societal induced or family induced, and which goals are our inherited inner goals, what Indians would call Dharma, what is what we are here for. And I went a step further because all this is, let's say, theory, but people nowadays, they want aggressively control the results and everything. And I took me a lot of time. I used to work a lot with Internet of Things when this was, let's say, popular. I believe Internet of Things is still something that is important today, even if it's not, even if the AI has taken over the Internet of Things. And I'm trying to combine these two um, concepts. So everyone, or a lot of people now, is on top of their smartphone. They have smart ring, they have smart watch, and they have a lot of data about themselves. But the idea is how to teach people what to do with this data. And there is where we have huge advantage, because ChatGPT and Gemini and all these LLMs have enabled us to have our digital twin. And if you allow me, I would share my screen and
Mm.
show you the measurements that I did on an aura scan, because everyone has a smart ring now, but aura scan is not that common. So I'll go to share the document that I have prepared.
And I like how you use the frame, our reality. because my reality is different to
Living
many
on a
other
farm.
people's realities. My reality here in Taiwan
Agree.
is very different to other foreigners' reality. When I go back to Australia, my reality is different to many other people. And I think it's personal because so many people say there's one right way of living. And we try that right way of living on, and we quickly realize that that doesn't work for me. So having our reality, having our choice, having our preference, I believe, is also very important.
I agree 100%, and I would like to um, support your opinion with the opinion of Carl Jung, one of the great minds of psychoanalysis from the previous century. He said that the goal of every person is to get fully individualized, and that is where you said each of our realities uh, is um, is specific to us ourselves. So we have to understand our reality, and by measuring our reality, it makes that task much simpler.
Mm.
So if you allow me, I would just I have small disclaimer. Then I would go into how I get data in my digital twin and show a couple of tricks that I use that every listener can use in their life.
Please, over to you. Thank
Yeah,
you, Peter.
thank you. So let's start with disclaimer. I live on a farm that I have converted into energy park, a healing retreat, and I spent most of my time outdoors. For today's presentation, I believe this is perfect timing, and I believe that was meant to be, because the last 2 days and today will be the same. I have worked only inside, working for over 16 hours a day, eating leftovers from Sunday, um, and I'm finishing last details of my new book that will be titled "Solved by Walking." But that is not, the book is not important. Important is that my lifestyle um, is healthy, but I will show you what happens only after 3 days of unhealthy lifestyle. And that I believe it's important. You will see what happens. So let's start with, I'm using a camera that measures aura from our fingers. It's a, there are numerous aura camera on the market. I won't say this one is the best one, but camera from fingers that is it's portable, it's relatively inexpensive, about $2,000, and it gets the information that we need. As you see, we need to scan all 10 fingers. I have scanned the first two here on the picture, so just that you can imagine how it goes. And then we process that data into the picture that shows what goes on in our body. As you see here, my aura, because of the stress of the last 2 years, is far from perfect. And I've just pointed out a couple of the most important things. What happened? For example, the pelvis muscle is extremely, because of the sitting, the pelvis muscle is already signaling in aura that is not well. Then you can see also, because of the food and not enough sleep, I have a hormonal problem. It's not something that the modern medicine will discuss as a problem, but in our aura we can already see that we are putting extreme pressure on our throat and thyroid gland,
Mm.
just because because I didn't sleep enough. As you can see here in a black and white picture, everything, so the aura is closed. It's not that there's an imminent attack or something like that, but what I will talk about is more future prediction. Then I have another view that I believe it's important. It's how chakras are dislocated because of the stress. You will see here, it goes into, I believe this will be your left side. uh, and the ideal position would be everything to be centered in the middle. I took all this data in and put it in my LLM. I use Google Gemini because Google awarded grant to our institute for the research, so we have endless processing power, or almost endless processing power available to us. And I've also described all the prompts. So I used a comma separated value format for this. This is my digital twin. Uh, I have entered my most recent aura scan. Please compare my aura scan with my book, Aura, because I wrote a book about aura. Ayurveda, that's traditional Indian medicine, classical Chinese medicine, Louis Hay findings, and prepare 10,000 character long report uh, to be presented in a presentation during the live podcast. That is just for listeners to have exact wording that they can use if they will start prompting for their um, digital twin. And we get to the report. Please, Daniel, stop me, or if you want an in-depth explanation of something, just let me know
Mm,
so that it won't be too boring.
beautiful.
Uh,
So just to recap on what we've discussed so far, you have a device. The investment for the device is around about $2,000, and it's measuring your aura, the energetic body.
Correct.
And to do that, you're placing your 10 fingers on the device. It's doing an energy scan, and it's also revealing problematic areas in the body. Specifically, so far, hips, where the hips are tight for a lot of sitting, also a thyroid imbalance from eating poor food and having poor sleep because of these 16-hour days. And now, with the prompt that you're putting into Gemini, it's helping you understand this data. It's helping
Yes.
us understand what's happening in the energetic body and potentially why the chakras are out of alignment. And it's probabilistic rather than deterministic. Would that be fair to say?
Yes. Yes. And I would also like to say this is not a medical um, report. This is more a well-being hints based on the books, because we are not allowed, so only doctors are allowed to do a diagnostic with that. So
So
we
this
are
is
just
but we can
looking.
call it a detection.
Yes, this is a detection, and um, it's based on probability and pattern recognition. So
Yes.
our LLM, in this case Gemini, is helping us based on patterns in my aura. It will compare it to first my book Aura, then Ayurveda. So these are a lot of books that I have read and then put in as a database, and then traditional Chinese medicine and findings of Louis Hay, and you will see how these results. So basically,
Mm. And for Ayurvedic medicine, this has its history of 2 to 3,000 years of history in the subcontinent. Traditional Chinese medicine, some of this information is going back 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 years. So your LLM is looking at frequency health, holistic health, and also being trained in traditional Chinese medicine, and then the work of Louise Hay. And it's drawing in from that data. Is that correct?
yes, correct. And I have, because I'm also a Jungian coach, and Carl Jung talked about a lot of symbols. I have a bit of input from my fiction books in order to help me recognize symbols or identify with the right symbols. So there's going to be a bit of imagination inside just for
Mm,
listeners to understand. So
okay, exciting.
yeah, the first is energy status. So we have field energy available at 34 joules. This is extremely low because it's lower than 40 joules, and it should be between 40 and 70, just for listeners to have a perspective. That means that I'm out of energy because I didn't sleep uh, for 2 days. Then I have quite a high stress index of 4. Um, that is the biggest stress index would be 10. That would be if I would be in a war zone or something like that. But living in a farm, I did a lot of damage to myself, stress wise, just because I didn't eat well and I didn't sleep enough. Just
Mm.
that is for listeners to understand what we're doing to our bodies um, when we go to to have a normal day at the job, something like, or what we would call a normal day at the job. And
Mhm.
my energy.
But before you move on from sleep, what a lot of people in the Western world don't do is they don't respect sleep. And we know that if you don't receive oxygen to your brain after 3 minutes, you're brain dead. If you're sleep deprived for 5 days, that's enough to put you in a pre diabetic state. And people who suffer sleep deprivation, 85% of them also suffer from mental or emotional health issues. And the majority of the world's population, 50% of people, are sleep compromised. They're getting less than 5 hours of sleep every night. And sleep is absolutely critical to our existence. In torture, if you torture somebody and give them sleep deprivation for 10 to 13 days, they'll be dead because of sleep deprivation. And we forget the importance of sleep in the Western world. And if you can't sleep, everything else gets compromised, in my opinion.
I'm 100% in agreement with you on the topic of sleep. But I believe for our case, it's important that show that even if I live in, let's close to perfect environment with sleep deprivation, my stress index gets extremely high. And that is in 2 days, in 3 days. So
Mm.
as you explained, in 12 days, I would probably be already dead. Um, then my energy reserves are low because in the last 3 days, I've basically used all my energy reserves. So I only have 40% of the energy reserves left. Um, as you can see, I have a really good balance between the left and the right hemisphere. Um, that is because I do a lot of exercise to balance that.
Mm.
And this the system did not come into imbalance after 3 days of neglecting it, or I would call it a serious abuse.
Mm. So,
Uh,
in terms of brain processing, your left brain and right brain are balanced. You do a lot of exercise, which also would let us know that your corpus callosum, this little bit of connective tissue here, is very active. Because sometimes what happens is people who are very logical don't have a very active right brain. People who are very right brain and emotional and they don't focus on logic often have a less active left brain. But musicians and athletes tend to develop a thicker corpus callosum. And so they have a more balanced brain processing. And the reason why that is they do a lot of work that goes across the axis of the body. Musicians, they might be holding a cello in their left hand and holding the strings with their left hand, but they're swinging the bow with the right hand. And they're always going over that medium line of the body. So they're engaging both left and right brain simultaneously. So you've developed a great balance in your brain. Fascinating.
yeah, I'm doing exercise regularly for balancing my brain, and it's also part of my book, How to Balance Conscious and Subconscious Mind, Left and Right Hemisphere. I believe that is a key advantage. If we can develop that, that is key advantage in today's world, where we are bombarded with information, but we have almost shut down our intuition. And if you want to improve our intuition, we have to balance left and right hemisphere. So that is also a hack that I teach to my business clients, how they can get ahead of competition by balancing left and right hemisphere. And there are a lot of different exercises available even on YouTube to balance those. But it takes, for an average person, it takes a couple of months to achieve that. It's not
Mm.
straight. As you mentioned, musicians and sports people, especially with the new training regimes, they tend to have more balance, and they are able to balance their brain faster than the
Mm.
average person.
Mm. Dr. Bruce Lipton says that we choose a brain dominance before age 10. So, based on our personal interests and desires and environment, some people may be more left brain or right brain dominant by the age of 10. But we also have what's called an ultradian rhythm. And every 90 minutes or so, the brain changes its dominance from left or right brain dominance. But for some people who are inherently rational, they think clearly, but they're unable to process the emotional content. And so, in terms of performance, they got this really powerful left brain, very logical, very calculated, very scientific, but they find it more difficult to connect with people at an emotional level. So, they tend to repress their emotions. They don't come up to the surface, they bury them, they put them somewhere over there. I'll come back to that later on. But that's the intuition part. And for me personally, I have studied a lot of science and I studied years of science, but I lost my intuitive ability. And I started just to trust in the data. And I thought to myself, I've lost part of my power. I've got to get that back. And I do agree with you that you can bring it back, but it's not just a choice by saying, I bring back my intuition. You've got to develop those different parts of the mind once again.
Yeah, I completely agree with that statement. And as I said, in my practice, I see that people that are able to develop more parts of their brain, they're much more successful, and also they're much more pleased with their life. That is a side effect of balancing left and right hemisphere.
Mm.
Okay, so the next chapter is more internal. It's about a book, um, and it helps me which chapters should I read in order to stabilize my well-being, because the books, even if they are fiction books, they help our brain engage in some kind of activity and help us understand um, sorry help us develop some energy flow just by reading these chapters. And I would like to say something that most people don't understand. If you want to be more youthful, young, if you want to feel more younger than you are today, just go and listen to music that you have been listening when you were young. That's the simplest hack.
Mm.
And the body and the brain will automatically put you or your body in the state that so the physical shape that you were at that time. That does not mean that you can do that instead of going to the gym or instead of having the right diet, but it helps brain process and encourage rejuvenation.
Mm.
uh,
Peter,
yes.
we've got about 60 seconds. Once we get this information, what do we do with it?
So I'm. This is. I started with too much theory. Let's let's go to the second part. Um, So I have the recommendation. It's I have to change the diet in order to support my recovery. Meditation to help my health as fast as possible. And I have also devised uh, affirmations that will help my mental health or my mental well-being stabilize faster from this, I call it deep, due to too much stress or too much work.
Wow. And going back to the original detection, how long does the detection take?
It usually takes about 4 minutes.
So in 4 minutes, plus the large language model, you can learn all of this about the inner workings of your energetic body.
Yes, and we have also used blood samples or the results of the blood sampling, the stool samples, the saliva samples. We can use any of those in the same model. However, aura scan is the simplest and it's completely non-invasive. And you can do it at home with camera, or you can go into wellness center where they have these aura scanners, and you
Amazing.
can use it occasionally.
Amazing. Peter, thank you so much for being here and sharing with us. I find this absolutely fascinating. Where can our guests follow you and where can they learn more about the work that you're doing?
The best, probably the best platform to follow me is on LinkedIn, and I post about my discoveries or my team's discovery, to be honest, because I have a whole team of different experts. And of course, they can get in touch if they need solution that will help their health at the moment.
Peter, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.